Can you become a UK millionaire on an average UK salary? This is exactly what we'll look into in this video, along with the calculation and assumptions. If I had a penny every time I saw a video on YouTube on how to become a millionaire, well, I would be a millionaire. Jokes aside though, these videos usually rely on generating additional income, which isn't always realistic. I mean, there's only so much free time and energy you can spare before other priorities in life take over. Those side hustles are often exaggerated and people may be misled into believing they will make them rich. Sometimes quite the opposite happens. You start a side business, invest money, and unfortunately the business fails, leaving you worse off than before and perhaps even in debt. So today I want to look at how rich can you get on a normal salary, doing normal things and living a normal life. Could you be a millionaire in your lifetime? Let's see. First, we need to find out what's the UK average salary. The median salary according to the ONS was 35k before taxes. I'm using median instead of average because it's less biased towards extreme values and it gives a better picture. Next, we need to find the average living expenses in the UK. Now this is slightly trickier because I'm looking for data for a single person, and the figures I came across in the UK were for households, which were about 27k per year. Based on this figure, I would estimate the living expense for a single person to be around 18k per year. Obviously this would depend on where you live, etc. But let's keep this simple for now. Great, so we have the income and expenditure side of things covered. Now we just need to make a few assumptions and we're ready to go. First, we'll assume the person contributes to a private pension at 5% with an employer match of 3%, which is quite typical. Next, we'll assume the salary grows by 4% every year. From any surplus income, 10% goes into a savings account first, then the remainder is put into an ISA, then the general investment account, which yields 8% per year. A long-term inflation rate of 3% is also applied. Taxes are accounted for here. Oh, and I also included a 6-month emergency fund because a financial plan without an emergency fund isn't a plan at all. So what do the numbers look like? Well, based on those values, how long would it take for you to become a millionaire? 15 years, 20 years, 25 years? Nope, if you're looking to reach this goal within 30 years, forget about it. I used my FIRE calculator to show this, and for those who are wondering what FIRE stands for, it's Financial Independence Retire Early. I've made a few videos on it so you can check this playlist out. But back to the chart, you can see there's the FIRE line here, the 1 million mark you want to reach. Notice how the goalpost keeps moving, and that's because of inflation. That £1 million now is not going to buy you the same amount of goods and services in the future, so you need to adjust that to account for inflation. Even your pension and ISAs are not enough to get you there. In fact, to get there, you would need 40 years of work, meaning that if you started work at 21, you might just be able to reach that when you retire at 61. Now, these are dependent on assumptions we made earlier. The outcome is highly sensitive to some of the parameters. For example, if instead of 8% annual return, we assume an 11% annual return before inflation, and your salary grew by 5% instead of 4%, and that you invested all the surplus of income instead of saving some, then you would reach that 1 million in 28 years instead of 40. One thing for sure, it will take time. If you're careful with your spending and wise with your investments, then it can happen. In fact, that's how a cleaner famously built a fortune of over $8 million over his lifetime, using his average salary to invest for the long run. Then he left most of it to the hospital and library in his local community. His name was Ronald Reed, and you can watch his story here. See you next time.